a man buying cigarettes with a nurse. This scene may seem strange and even shocking today, but in the 1950s, smoking was common, and many patients were allowed to smoke in hospitals. Jane Mansfield and Sophia Loren. In the photo, Loren seems bothered by sharing the attention with Mansfield, while the latter doesn't seem to have any trouble drawing attention to herself. Before the invention of mechanical and electronic alarm clocks, a common profession in England and Ireland was that of a knocker-up. These professionals were hired to wake workers in time to get to work. The oldest Harley-Davidson in existence was built in 1903. This rare Harley is marked as serial number 1 and can be seen along with other vintage motorcycles at the Harley-Davidson Museum. Imagine a winter morning in the 1950s in London. As the sun begins to rise and the snow continues to fall, the city starts to stir. Shops open their doors and people go to their jobs and daily chores. Robert Wadlow, nicknamed the Giant of Alton and the Giant of Illinois, was officially measured and recorded as the tallest person in the world, with the incredible height of 2.72 meters. He needed a special cane to get around, and his shoes had to be custom-made. A group of cowboys is gathered in a bar in Tascosa, an old West town. They are relaxing after a long day of work on the ranch. Anna Nicole Smith and oil tycoon J. Howard Marshall on their wedding day in 1991. Anna was a 24-year-old stripper when she met the 86-year-old billionaire. The construction of the iconic Manhattan Bridge, which connects the boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn in New York, was a monumental undertaking that began at the end of the 19th century and took several years to be completed. The photograph of Dr. Wernher von Braun in front of 5 F-1 rocket engines in 1969 is an emblematic image in the history of space technology. Von Braun is recognized as an important figure in the evolution of rocket technology. The photograph of the Eiffel Tower during its construction on November 23, 1888, is a historical record of the iconic French structure in its early stage of development. The construction of the Eiffel Tower began in January 1887 and lasted a little over 2 years. The image of a group of Japanese samurai posing in front of the Sphinx in Giza, Egypt in 1864 is an intriguing scene that shows the cultural exchange between Japan and Egypt in the 19th century. Sergeant Stubby, the most decorated dog of the First World War, photographed wearing his military uniform and insignia around 1920. The photo, Lunch Atop a Skyscraper, is an iconic image that depicts 11 workers eating lunch while sitting on a steel beam hanging 69 stories above the streets of New York. The photo was taken in 1932. The photo in question is a historical image that depicts geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor and meteorologist Charles Wright at the entrance of an ice cave in an iceberg with the ship Terra Nova in the background. The iconic pin-up photo of Rita Hayworth was taken in 1941 for Life magazine. The image featured the actress wearing a red satin dress and holding her red hair in a seductive gesture as she looked directly at the camera. The first inauguration of Abraham Lincoln as President of the United States took place on March 4, 1861, amid growing political tension and the imminent outbreak of the American Civil War. A photograph from around 1936 of Gutzon Borglum's model for the Mount Rushmore National Memorial. This shows that the original plan was for the heads also to have bodies and hands. This came to an end when Gutzon died in 1941, and then the project ran out of money after his son took over. One of the only 2 photos that exist of the U.S. Supreme Court in session, photographer Eric Salomon pretended to have a broken arm and hid a camera in his cast to take this image. It is illegal for cameras to be in the courtroom while the U.S. Supreme Court is in session. Linda Carter is an American actress, singer, and model who became famous for playing the character Wonder Woman in the 1970s TV series. This photo shows the renowned inventor Nikola Tesla teaching a young woman to swim in New York in 1900. Tesla, who was a great swimming enthusiast, often went swimming in the East River. This photo shows a summer scene in front of the main building of Moscow University in 1989. In the image, we can see several people enjoying the sunny day, swimming and sunbathing. The image shows Muhammad Ali, also known as Cassius Clay, right after knocking out Cleveland Williams in one of the most famous rounds of his career on November 14, 1966. The Empire State Building in 1941, which is one of the most iconic buildings in New York and was built in 1931, at the time it was the tallest building in the world, at 381 meters tall. A group of children from the 1970s gathered around a record player, listening to music. Record players were popular at the time and were used to play vinyl records that contained listeners' favorite songs. A historical scene from Nepal, captured in 1950 when the country saw its first car. At the time, the country was quite isolated and cars were still rare, especially in rural areas. In the image, it is possible to see the car being carried by a group of local men. Julie London was an American actress and singer who became known in the 1950s. This photo was taken in 1948 when she was only 22 years old. Still at the beginning of her career, she started out as a model and actress. The first Miss Universe pageant was held in 1952 in the city of Long Beach, California. The event was organized by the construction machinery businessman and local entrepreneur who was already promoting beauty contests across the country. The photograph shows a Blackbird aircraft, one of the most iconic reconnaissance airplanes of the Cold War, together with its pilots in pressure suits in the 1980s. The photo shows Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller, her third husband, in 1960. They married in 1956 and divorced in 1961. The image shows the British singer and songwriter Kate Bush sitting in a hotel room in Tokyo in 1978. The image was captured during Kate Bush's tour of Japan, where she gained a large fan base. The photograph, Live to the Fullest, captured by German photographer Frank Habicht in 1968, shows a young woman named Renee posing on Westminster Bridge in London. Lord Lionel Walter Rothschild was a famous zoologist and collector of exotic animals. In 1898, he commissioned a unique carriage for his collection, the zebra carriage. He was known for driving the carriage through the streets of London, drawing a lot of attention. This photo captures the Impressionist painter Claude Monet with a pigeon perched on his head, while his wife Alice poses at his side in Piazza San Marco in Venice in 1908. The photo in question is a work by the Japanese photographer Kusakabe Kimbei, taken around 1870, and shows a shoe store somewhere in Japan during the Meiji period. The photo shows the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali letting a young fan win a fight in 1963. The boy, who is seen with a determined look, points at Ali while he smiles and seems to be enjoying the situation. We've reached the end of our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave your like.